Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll start out with baseball today. Head coach Kyle Polk joins us, and unfortunately, as we tape this, snow is falling right now, which is never good for baseball.
No, I don't know if I mentioned this before. We print our baseball schedule, but I just always tell people it's a suggestion. It's not really what we're going to do. So, but yeah, I've been in the office watching the Weather Channel, have it on my TV, have it on my computer, be on phone calls, trying to figure out what's going on. But when I get done here, I'm going back and try to continue to just see if I can figure out when the snow is going to stop.
So is this maybe the most stressful time of your year? I mean, you have recruiting, you have games, but then trying to figure out when you're actually going to play the games, is that maybe the most stressful part?
Yeah, it can be. It's, but you know, the unfortunate thing is, or the reality is that this happens maybe once every 10 years where we get a year like this. Like the last 2 years, everybody in our league played every game. And so it was a great year. The year before, everybody but a couple played. And I think it was about 9-10 years ago, we had a year like this where everybody's snows everywhere. We're trying to change, go to this place, go to that place, following the weathermen, whatever and stuff, and staying up late at night watching the local news and see what the weather is going to be like. So, yeah, it's not really that stressful, but it's just time consuming. And are we going to make the right decision? And are the weathermen going to be right? That's the biggest thing.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like they've been right about this one so far.
Yep.
Let's talk about the games that you had this past week. Some good and some bad. We'll kind of touch a little bit on the bad first. The Minnesota State series, unfortunately, 2 losses for you. What are you able to take away from those games?
Well, Mankato's been the premier program in our league now the last how many years and stuff. So our thought process there, we're a young team. We need to be able to compete. The first game we had a chance, 7-4. I think we played pretty well in that game. Did some things well. And actually, the second game was still kind of a close game until right the last inning. And then basically, pitching is an issue, or what, not an issue, but we had to see some guys. And unfortunately, because of the time frame now, we got to get them in games and see what they can do. And it didn't pan out. The 2 guys that we brought in didn't do what we expected them. And they've had 1 good outing, 1 bad outing. So now it's again to see if we can get them back on the horse up and get them in the good outing again. But I wasn't disappointed because we lost them both, but wasn't disappointed because we did some things well. And I think those things that we did well translated into the weekend for us.
It seems this season anyway that if you field well, you have a better shot at games, and if maybe you make some errors in the field, then it's kind of over.
Yeah, well, that's because of a young squad. When you have a young squad like that, if you look a lot of time, we're playing 8 or 9 freshmen or sophomores. And again, how they handle that adversity, and that's what we're working on. Trying to make sure that the biggest thing, and then Aaron can say this, or anybody comes in, I always tell them, I'm not worried about the play you make now, I'm worried about the next play. If you make if you have an error, you can't worry about that anymore. You got to get ready because the next ball potentially could be hit to you, and you need to make that play. And we tell them all the time that you never know which play is going to win the game. It could be a play in the first inning that will win the game for us. So you got to focus all the time. Don't let things that happen before bother you. You're all good enough athletes. You're good enough players. You wouldn't be here. Make the next play.
Very good. And you guys did that in your series against Minnesota Crookston. Picked up 4 wins in that one, so now you're over 500 in the NSIC. Let's talk about the games on Thursday afternoon. Combined 20 runs, maybe taking a little frustration out after the Minnesota State series? Yeah.
And what we did there was we capitalized on some mistakes that they made. It seemed like every time that they made a mistake, we did what we were supposed to be doing. Again, I'm starting to see the guys starting to listen, buy into what our philosophy is going to be. Always staying on top of your game, stay focused, make sure when it's your chance that you compete and give your best effort, knowing that as a hitter, you're not going to get it 100% of the time, but you got to have a good at-bat. We keep talking about in your at-bat, make sure that you make them get you out. You don't get yourself out, which our guys are getting better at as well.
Well, Sam Conley had a really good day in the opener, 5 for 5 in the first game. He's a redshirt sophomore. Talk about his play so far this season.
Sam is he's the silent type. I wish I'd get him to be more vocal and stuff, but he just goes about his business. He just works hard, and he really buys into what we're trying to do. He's a very smart hitter. Never tries to do too much. He knows what his job is each at bat, depending on situation, how many outs, where are runners, what am I going to do? Do I need to move them up? Do I need to try to score them? And he does a very good job in every at bat. He's a guy that, like we talk about, when he makes an out, it's usually they get him. He doesn't make an out. He never rolls over a ground ball, hardly ever. He'll strike out once in a while, but he's going to have good at-bats.
And then Jake Watska, who was our guest last week, picked up a save during the 2 games on Thursday. And according to this, after that, 3 straight scoreless appearances over 10 innings pitched. So he's been doing pretty well.
Yep, he's doing really well. He's like I think I mentioned last week, he's pitching the way I envisioned him pitching when we recruited and brought him on campus. He struggled a little bit early last year and stuff because of the jump from high school to college, but I think he's finally made that adjustment, realizes that, yes, I belong here, I can pitch at this level, and I got good stuff.
All right, and then on the games on Friday, our guest today, Aaron Mutter, we won't make it awkward when he comes on here, but did a very good job in the first game.
Yes, and that we're counting on him to be our number one. I'm not going to jinx him because he's sitting here, but he should be our number one. Pitched a great game against Central Missouri our first weekend, and it was the 4-2 game that we lost, but he pitched well there, and then he pulled his hamstring when we were in Missouri pitching early in the game there, and hasn't been able to pitch since then. So that was his first outing since coming back from the injury, and he looked like the Aaron Mutter we expect him to be, a little overpowering at times, but locating his pitches and just doing a great job. Yeah, 10
strikeouts in that first game. Then in game 2, Austin Savory, it kind of worked out of a big jam that he was in. Obviously, that's something that you want to see.
Yep, and Austin, he's a freshman, but you wouldn't think it is because he's very competitive, going to work hard all the time, and he knows what he needs to do. He's not an overpowering guy, but he's a lefty that knows how to locate. He can bring it up there once in a while if he needed, but he's going to maybe hit his spots and never really get behind. He stays ahead of hitters. And he's one of the guys that he does the opposite of what we tell our hitters. He makes those guys get themselves out because he gets them in counts where they got to swing at bad pitches.
All right, just a couple minutes left in this segment, and you hope to play against Wayne State coming up, and then you also have Bemidji on the road. Talk about those games and how you match up with those teams.
Yeah, well, Bemidji's right with us in the state, or not Bemidji, excuse me, Wayne State's right with us. I think we're 8-6, they're 6-6. We were supposed to play them here, but we've made the switch. We're going there tomorrow afternoon, hopefully playing Thursday. Should be a good matchup. It's one that it seems like we've been playing them midweek for I don't know how many years. It seems like we split every time we play them. So, which, you know, on midweek you'd like to win 2, but a split works out pretty well. Bemidji on the weekend now, that's one of the things when I get back to the office we're going to have to work. Right now we're tentatively set for them to come here this weekend because there's no chance of playing up there. But right now with the snow, we'll have to see if we can play on our place or if we need to find a neutral site or if we can play at all.
Again, just the fun of the season, I guess.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Walk-Off, and when we come back, we'll get the player perspective. Aaron Mutter will join us right after this.
If you have maybe one major telephone company providing high-speed internet service, you're at their mercy. The packages were not what we needed. Upload speeds were very, very poor. Pricing was not good. It was just a real problem, and we had no options. When HBC came calling, I was just blown away by the technology. The speeds and feeds are just unbelievable.
Providing opportunities for residential and business customers. HBC is leadership in your community.
My name is Drew Scott, and on Property Brothers, What do you do? I'm Jonathan Scott, and I do the work. I take them to houses. It's a lot of work. Drew helps me throughout the entire process. He finds the perfect house. What Jonathan does on Property Brothers is he makes dreams come true.
This is so nice.
Catch an all-new Property Brothers, Wednesday night at 9, only on HGTV.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. Aaron Mutter now joins us. And Aaron, you heard us talk about your performance against Minnesota Crookston and coming back from an injury. Talk about how it was to be back on the mound and to play as well as you did against Minnesota Crookston.
It felt really good to be back. I mean, I was out for about 4 weeks, I would say. I tried to come back against Minot, which was about 2 weeks ago, but kind of the injury happened again. But it felt really good to be on the mound, doing what I love.
All right. We always want to try to find out, who you were before you came to Winona State. So I want to talk a little bit about your high school days in Burlington. Not only did you play baseball, but you played basketball, you played football. So what was it about baseball that made you decide that's what I'm going to go after in college?
I would say that was probably the best sport I was at. I wasn't very good at basketball. Football I was good at, but definitely baseball is something I've always loved since I was 3 years old when I first started playing, and I just kind of went with it.
You ended up winning a state championship your senior year at Burlington. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was a really fun ride. I've been playing with my friends. I've been playing with them since probably 6, and then we were playing travel ball together since probably 12 years old. And it was really fun to be able to win it with them. And we won 4 actually state championships when we were 9 through 12, and that was a lot of fun too.
I want to ask about that state championship because I'll kind of gloss over the pitching part of that because I know that wasn't maybe your best performance, but you were on third base when they executed a suicide squeeze that ended up the go-ahead run, which ended up being the game-winning run in that. Talk about that play and the emotions maybe you felt through that.
My teammate actually, it wasn't even our coach's decision. It was my teammate's decision to do that. He said, hey, I'm putting this bunt down, so score it. And I ran as fast as I could, and they couldn't even get it to home because I was so fast. So.
Very good, very good. I like to hear that.
Yeah, he's fast.
Now, that wasn't the only exciting moment that you had in high school. I understand in a basketball game, you had this tip-in at the last second off a missed free throw that led you to the regional final. Talk about that experience.
Oh, that was, it was off of a free throw, actually, and I rebounded it and went up with my left hand, and time expired right after that. I didn't even know I did it when it happened. It was just, it happened so fast.
Yeah, I suppose not a lot of time to react in that.
No, just kind of instincts, I guess.
All right. And then also, when we're talking about baseball, you had a pitching performance against Green Bay Preble that was pretty good, which we were talking about that last week with Jake Watska. You kind of have this interesting connection, everybody from around the Green Bay area. But leading you to one of the games towards the end of your senior year, talk about the game against Preble.
Preble, well, the first game, my original teammate who went to Wichita State, he pitched that game, and then I went game 2, and I went the full game. No, I went to 6 innings, and then I had to throw 2 days after in the state championship, so my arm was pretty sore. But it was actually pretty funny that I struck out my current teammate here, Caleb Schoenholtz.
I suppose you don't remind him of that ever, right?
Only a few times.
Now, you said that you kind of started out early in your baseball career, and then you also played for GRB Academy since you were 12. Talk about what that is and how that helped you develop.
GRB is it's a travel baseball team. We travel all over the Midwest, and we go down to Florida sometimes too in the fall. And that really helped me become a better player, a better competitor, because you saw the best competition in the nation. You play the best teams, the best players. And that really helped me become a better player and kind of understand how good baseball is outside of Wisconsin.
So do you use some of the things maybe you learned there still now in college?
Yeah, 100%. I would say I gained from my pitching coach, Greg, who owns the academy. I would say he taught me a lot about pitching. And then from my coaches, I had a former Brewer Hall of Famer, Bob Wickman. He taught me a lot about pitching. And overall, just the coaches I got from there helped me tremendously in baseball.
All right, then last question that we have here. Heading into this week, what are some of the things that you need to do to be successful, the team needs to do to be successful?
I would say pitching-wise, attack the zone, get ahead on hitters. And then hitting-wise, I mean, do exactly what we did against Crookston. Can't really change much about that right there.
All right. Well, good luck this week, and good luck the rest of the season. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk-Off. When we come back, we'll switch gears, go to softball, and talk with head coach Greg Jones right after this.
Don't miss out on highlights and score updates from your favorite local college and high school athletics by following HBC TV 25 Sports. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get up-to-date information on all the games covered by the HBC sports team. Grab your smartphone and add us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at HBC TV 25 Sports.
For us, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
We're just looking to get in as much adventure as we possibly can.
I just want to have fun while I can still enjoy it.
If we could get away, we're going to be in this RV.
There's no place I'd rather be than riding free in America.
All new Going RV, Wednesday night at 9, only on GAC.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off on TV 25. Now time to switch to softball. Greg Jones joins us now. You've played 3 doubleheaders since we saw you last. So let's talk a little bit about the first one, which was against Upper Iowa. And obviously we've been talking weather during the show all day today. For this, it was supposed to be in Upper Iowa, ends up being played here, so you were home, but you were the away team on the scoreboard, which maybe confuses things a little bit. I don't know, does it confuse anybody?
I don't know. A few times when we've had to do that, we've actually flipped the scoreboard, so where it says Warriors, it's actually us, but then it got too difficult with the scoreboard. But I don't think it's confusing for anybody on the field. I think at times you have the people that drive by or walk in late that try to figure it all out. But it's just an advantage to be able to play at home, stay at home, not have to take the bus trip. And now this week we'll go in reverse and lose a home game. But that's all part of par for the course with Mother Nature.
Right, exactly. All right, but it didn't affect you too much in the Upper Iowa games because you won both of those 9-3 and 7-0. I guess just an overview of how your team played against Upper Iowa.
Oh man, I got to go backwards now. I thought we played well those games. I thought they were. Game 2, I was really nervous about. They were kind of pitching backwards, and so they threw their number 1 in the second game instead of the first game. And I'm not concerned with our pitching the way it lines up because we really have co-number 1s anyway, and Joe going against anybody is an even matchup. But we weren't great offensively in Game 1. We did some things really well, and then in Game 2, we couldn't get it going at first. And I thought, oh man, if we have to play this 0-0 all the way through, well then we kind of burst it open, and we just really kind of nickeled and dimed them in that second game. We had that 4-run inning that was. We never got the big hit to unload the base. It was always a base hit, a base hit, a base hit, but sometimes a lot of base hits equal crooked numbers, so that's okay too. You
talked about your co-number 1s, McKenna Larson and Jordan Clement, and is there like this healthy rivalry between the two to try to one-up each other? I don't think so. At times I kind of think there should be, or wonder if there is, but I think because of the nature of our game that they both know they're going to throw, that you don't see it, that they're not even really competing against themselves and each other, that they're really just trying to do the best they can in the moment. I think they work off of each other really well. They're such opposites. You've got a left-hander that works down and away from, or in on righties and away from lefties. And then you've got a righty who is always, going up in the zone. And so they're so opposite that way that even through their workouts, I think their workouts are even different that way. And ultimately, their numbers always kind of pan out to be very close to the same. And Joe is more of a strikeout kid, and Ken more of a pitch to contact kid. But I think it's, maybe if we flipped it and said, okay, Joe's going to go Game 1, maybe that might really change things and alter things. But right now, the way it is, I think they both see, they just know they're going to get the ball and they're fine with that role. All right, let's move to a little bit closer to the present date, which was Thursday against Sioux Falls, and that ended up being a split. Unfortunately, it was a walk-off against Sioux Falls in Game 1. Talk about that. And I know that your rule is if you score 4 runs, you think that you got a pretty good chance to win. Scored 3 runs in this one and ended up losing. Yeah, and that was just it. We didn't hit the ball well all day. We ended up getting 5 runs in Game 2, but that all came in extra innings. We struck out 12 times in that game. But Game 1, and again, you got to give credit to their pitching. Their pitching did a really nice job. They were throwing drop balls at us all day long, which I don't know if that was intent to neutralize what we do offensively or just that was the strength of their pitching staff. I'm not sure, but they were keeping the ball down and in on our righties and down and away from our lefties, and we just never drove the ball all day. We didn't put a lot together offensively in either game. But I was really proud of the effort in Game 1 to come back and tie it in the 7th inning. And obviously I would have liked to have won it and not given up the hit in the bottom of the 7th to lose it. Right. But we were kind of chasing all day. And to be down to our last out and get a big hit to tie it up was great. And then the resilience to come back in Game 2. And again, we talked to them between games. We're not going to win every game. We understand that. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do next? And they didn't let Game 1 affect them going into Game 2. And again, as much as we want to get to 4 and feel like if we get to 4, we win, the other side of it is I want our kids to really understand the game's supposed to be played 0-0 all the way through. And don't feel like you're losing and don't get frustrated if it's 0-0 in the 7th inning. It's right where you want it. Give yourself a chance to win at the end of the game.
And that's what they were able to do.
And I think one of the other things that you have to be happy with is that in the second game, to get to extra innings, you had to kind of manufacture that run.
Yeah.
And that's always a good thing to do, to see the team work to get that one run to get you then to extra innings.
Yeah. And we had a freshman come off the bench and get the big pinch hit. And Christina hadn't played really all weekend. And so to sit there for 2 games in the cold, and it was cold. It was cold and windy, cloudy day. And to come off the bench with the game on the line and be able to, get a base hit through the middle and we had a freshman pinch runner and a freshman pinch hitter to step into that role. We all say big players make big plays and big hitters get big hits. And she was able to do that in that spot. And then we were really able to hang on then through extra innings, because the advantage is always going to be to the home team in extra innings.
Sure.
And even without the international tiebreaker, it's still their last at bat, and they're playing well. Sioux Falls is a good team, and they're playing well. And Joe really was pitching well to keep them at bay. I thought she threw a great game, and then what happened late, once we got late in the game, that their drop ball really started to flatten out, and I felt really good about our hitters going to get some good shots at her. A kid like Riley coming up late in that inning, I just felt like, okay, if she gets one here, and she did, and she got the big hit that really kind of gave us the cushion we needed, so it was great resilience on everybody's behalf.
All right, we just have just a couple minutes left in the segment, but then you got 2 wins against Southwest Minnesota State, 12-4 and 8-2, and in those games, McKenna Larson, 6 of 7, a double, home run, 6 runs batted in. Amazing performance.
Yeah, she had a great day, and she didn't pitch especially well. Neither her nor Joe, and I think they were pretty gassed from the day before, and just the intensity level and every pitch mattering and being in the cold and all that kind of stuff. But man, she made up for it for her stick, and then we had enough pitching. We've got great depth there on the mound, and we're able. I was never worried about our pitching that day. I knew that we went in with the idea of using a lot of pitching. So for McKenna to give us what she did offensively was huge, and a great day for her. And Lainey was battling an injury that day, and so to be able to slide her around in the order and rely on some other kids was really important.
You said coming in that you thought that you'd be using a lot of pitching, which that isn't necessarily the MO of your team,
right?
Because you've been getting the complete games from your starters.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things that as intense as those games were, and every pitch was kind of edge of your seat type of pitching, and it was cold, and so I think we were really tense, and I think that just wears on you a little bit. And I just kind of went in with the idea of, look, we'll get what we can get out of them. If they throw us a complete game, great. If they don't, we know we've got bodies. And at some point, that's why you have those kids, and that they're so talented, and they don't get great opportunity because of the talent level of those kids in front of them. So it was just a great opportunity for them to step up and show what they could do.
All right, we need to take a break here on Warriors Walk-Off. When we come back, Riley Stout will join us right after this.
Elevate your HBC TV experience with the latest technology to hit your whole home entertainment system. Record up to 6 programs simultaneously and save up to 350 hours of your favorite shows. Pause a program you're watching in one room and pick right up where you left off in another. Video on demand, wireless set-top boxes and mobile device streaming, apps including Alexa, Netflix, YouTube, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to learn more or visit hbci.com/elevate today.
It's Flea Market Madness.
Check out Flea Market Flip on GAC.
Wow, that's pretty neat. 2 teams, here's your $500, here's your time clock. Shop, go!
Well, we could use this.
Go find great things that you can reinvent. We have to think outside the box.
I think this could really work.
It's really pretty. And then sell, guys, hopefully for a profit. You got a deal. There's plenty to pick, so it's time to flip.
Flea Market Flip, Sunday night at 8, only on GAC.
NASCAR racing is still red hot, and the excitement is bigger this year with fresh new faces like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, and Alex Bowman. Raceline brings you the inside story on these drivers and the veterans too, and it's as close as your TV, right here every week. Hear from your favorite drivers and how they plan to accomplish a lifetime dream, winning a NASCAR championship. It's on Raceline every week right here.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off, now joined by Riley Stout. And Riley, thank you for joining us here
today.
Thanks
for having me.
A true freshman. So I want to talk about your very first collegiate game, which ends up being game 2 of your collegiate career. You get the start behind the plate. Okay. Can you explain your emotions and what you're thinking being thrust into that position that early on in your career?
I was excited. I mean,
I mean, Paige is an awesome catcher, so to like have to like catch behind her is just like, she has taught me a lot already, and like catching in game 2, that was pretty, I wasn't expecting it, I guess, and I was excited.
All right. And then game 4, you end up getting your first collegiate hit, which is a grand slam.
Oh.
That's pretty incredible. What were your emotions for that?
Oh, that was fun. I probably wasn't expecting it to go over, just going up to my at-bat, taking my at-bat, and then it happened, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun coming home to them.
Now, obviously, you play a lot of freshmen sometimes, depending on, I guess, talent level or what you need at the time, but catcher is a pretty important position on the field. You put a freshman behind there. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, and it's kind of a culmination of a lot of things that were happening. Obviously, when we recruited Riley, we knew what her abilities were, and we were looking forward to her getting on the field for us. We had a freshman catcher last year, Al, Allie Nowak, and now Al's doing all the DPing for us. She got a concussion early on in practice in January. And so that kind of opened the door. We were working Riley maybe at looking at some different spots because we really wanted to get her bat in the lineup. And so we were talking about her being DP. We looked at her a little bit in the outfield and then the corners and first base a lot. And so that was kind of our thought process. Well, then when Al went down, it really just opened the door wide open for Riley to go right back behind the plate where she's probably the most comfortable.
All right. Well, you talked about getting your bat in the lineup. You were a home run hitter in college or in high school. That's continued here in college. So I want to talk about one particular home run in high school, which was a walk-off grand slam your senior year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I remember that game too. That was a good one. It was a lot of fun. I don't know, just being a senior and like having all these girls like behind you and like just like cheering you on and then like going up and being able to do that for them and the team is just great.
Now, I remember I read an article about you saying that going into your senior year, you wanted to get the home run record. That was your goal. You ended up getting it. You were only one of, I think, 6 Illinois high school players to hit 20 or more home runs in a season. So tell us about going through that season, and I mean, were you seeing the ball a little bit different to be able to hit 20 home runs in a year?
I did, yeah, going in, I did kind of want to beat the record. Just like, why not have a goal for your last season in high school? And then I guess I was just seeing the ball good, and like my sister played with me, so that was a lot of fun, and she was like good and like pumped me up a lot and always like just like encouraged me. She's like, come on, like this many more, and like it was always fun playing with her, so yeah.
Now that same article says that your sister might challenge that record.
Is definitely. I totally think she will. Especially this year, she's been hitting pretty well so far, only a few games into the season, and she's still got 2 more, so we'll see.
All right, now we always talk about the transition from high school to college and what a big jump that is. It hasn't seemed to have affected you very much. Is it still kind of the same game for you in college?
It's definitely a lot quicker, and the pitching definitely is a lot better, so that has been like a little bit of a struggle. But I think that like the girls that I'm playing with and like everything, they've just made it so much so comfortable and like easy transition for me.
Now, athletics just kind of runs through your family. Your aunt has been a Chicago sports broadcaster for over 30 years, and your cousin is actually playing some minor league baseball. Is that correct?
Yes, he is. I think he made like the 40-man roster or something for the Kansas City Royals, so that's pretty cool. And just to say that he's my cousin is cool too.
Yeah, that's Eric Stout, if you want to look him up. So, I mean, you follow his career then and try to see what he's doing, or is that something that maybe you don't think about now during the season?
I usually get some updates from my uncle or my dad, but I don't really know how to follow him, but maybe a text.
All right, let's talk about now this season. 24 starts in 28 games. How have you been able to handle that workload and all the classes and all the change in weather and everything that we've had?
It's been a little crazy, but I've definitely gotten used to it by now, I think. I honestly don't know what I would do if I didn't play softball and like have the 3-hour, 4-hour practices and like stuff like that, so I really enjoy it.
Well, all right. Well, continued luck this season.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you down the line a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walk-Off. We'll see you next time here on HBC TV 25.